An old woman enters a modest restaurant in a bustling neighborhood. Her clothes are faded, her shoes are worn, and her eyes carry the weight of years of struggle. She is not there to dine like the others. She quietly approaches a waiter, lowers her voice, and with trembling words, asks if there are any leftover scraps of food they could spare. Not a full plate, not a discount meal, just the leftovers. She's hungry, but too proud to beg on the streets, and too poor to afford even the cheapest item on the menu. The request seems simple, but the reaction it triggers is anything but kind. The waiter, perhaps tired or hardened, looks at her with disdain. A few nearby customers overhear and smirk. Someone laughs, not too loud, but loud enough. Words like shameless and crazy are whispered as the woman stands there, her hands clutched in front of her, trying not to look at anyone. The staff, unsure what to do, murmur among themselves. One even jokes about charging her for air. Laughter follows again, this time bolder. In that moment, the restaurant becomes a mirror of society's cruelty. How quickly people judge, how easily they forget that age, poverty and dignity can coexist. Nobody asks how she got there. Nobody sees a mother, a grandmother, maybe once a respected member of her community. They only see what they want to see, someone beneath them. For many people watching this moment unfold, it might have been easier to look away, to pretend they didn't hear, to justify their silence by thinking she was used to it, that maybe she'd done something to end up in this position. But within that crowd, one man doesn't look away. He watches quietly, taking in the room, the expressions, the laughter, the silence. Something shifts in his face, not pity, but resolve. The woman begins to turn away, humiliated, ready to leave with nothing. The weight of being ignored, mocked and dismissed, adds to her already burdened shoulders. The man stands up, not in anger, not in a show of heroism, just steady and calm. His presence interrupts the rhythm of the room. Conversations pause, phones stop scrolling, the laughter dies down. He walks toward her, slowly, respectfully. There is no arrogance in his steps, only purpose. He reaches her and gently asks if she would allow him to sit with her and share a meal. Not give her food like a charity case, not buy her a takeaway and disappear, but to sit, to eat, together, as equals. The room watches, confused. Some smirk again, expecting a scene. Others feel something, guilt perhaps. The man pulls out a chair for her, signals the waiter and orders food, not scraps, a proper meal. He speaks to her softly, asking her name, listening without rushing her. She hesitates at first, still wounded from the earlier rejection, but his eyes are kind, his voice patient. She sits. The food arrives and they eat, not quickly, not awkwardly, as if they've known each other for years, as if the rest of the room doesn't exist. The man doesn't check his phone, doesn't look around to see who's watching. He is present, with her, and in that moment, something shifts, not just between them, but in the hearts of those watching. People who had laughed begin to look down at their plates. A waiter who had dismissed her starts to fidget with the corner of his apron. Someone whispers, "God bless him." The mood in the room changes, not because someone gave money, but because someone showed dignity, not pity, the kind of respect that society often forgets to show to the elderly, the poor, the voiceless. This scene, simple yet powerful, echoes deeply in a place like Nigeria, where community, family and respect for elders are cultural foundation. Yet even in such a society, the harsh realities of poverty and the fast-paced chase for survival can sometimes make people forget that every old woman has a story, that behind tired eyes and torn clothes is a soul that has lived, suffered and loved, that hunger doesn't erase humanity, that asking for food is not shameful, but denying someone basic compassion is. In markets across Lagos, in roadside bukas in Kaduna, in the quiet streets of Benin or Jos, there are countless stories like this, unseen, unheard, quickly passed over. Elders pushed aside, their needs dismissed as burdens. But in each of those moments lies the potential for change, for someone to stand up, not with money or fame, but with empathy, to remind others that we are not only measured by how we treat those above us, but how we respond to those below, those in need, those forgotten by the crowd. There's power in a quiet act of kindness. It doesn't need to go viral. It doesn't need applause. Its impact isn't measured in views but in the ripple effect it causes in hearts and minds. One man standing up may not end poverty, but it might inspire someone else to think twice the next time they see an old woman asking for leftovers. It might remind a waiter to pause before mocking. It might teach a child watching that respect and compassion can be louder than laughter. And that's where real change begins, in small, human moments, moments where pride is swallowed and empathy rises. Moments when someone decides that doing the right thing matters more than fitting in with the crowd. Moments that don't need cameras or quotes, just heart. In today's digital age, the power of language goes beyond storytelling. It shapes reach, visibility, and emotional connection, especially in platforms like YouTube, where millions of videos compete for attention. For Nigerian audiences, where content is rapidly evolving and creators are seeking not just views but impact, the importance of using SEO-rich and shareable language becomes a crucial strategy. This is not about using big words or fancy terms. It's about connecting with the emotions of the viewer while making sure the content appears in search results and recommendations. In a society where stories resonate deeply and emotion carries weight, combining search optimization with authenticity is what gives content viral potential. Words matter, especially when you're telling a story that is real, raw, and emotionally loaded. In a title like "They Laughed at a Hungry Old Woman Asking for Leftovers," until one man stood up, every word is chosen, not only to tell a story but to trigger emotion, provoke curiosity, and improve discoverability. The phrase "they laughed" instantly introduces conflict and injustice. Nigerians who are deeply rooted in community values often react strongly to scenes of disrespect or humiliation, particularly involving elders. By starting with such a phrase, the title hooks the viewer, inviting them to witness what many would consider a moral wrongdoing. The cultural significance of respecting elders and supporting the vulnerable is embedded in daily life, and when that respect is broken, it sparks immediate emotional engagement. Then comes "a hungry old woman." This phrase does more than just describe a character. It highlights the humanity of the situation. Hunger is not a distant concept in Nigeria. It's a reality many face or witness around them. Using such a relatable experience makes the story deeply personal for viewers. It's not just content anymore. It becomes a reflection of society. The word "old woman" carries extra weight in a Nigerian context, where age traditionally demands reverence. When that reverence is denied, as seen in the humiliation she faces, the reaction from the audience becomes more than curiosity, it becomes personal. The phrase "asking for leftovers" adds another layer of impact. It's not that she asked for money or a meal, just scratch. This detail is critical because it paints a vivid picture of humility and desperation. In Nigeria, the idea of someone asking for even the most basic things while others waste or ignore them is a strong emotional trigger. It creates a sense of injustice and compels viewers to want to know what happened next. Viewers might imagine their own mother, grandmother, or a neighbor in that situation, which increases the likelihood that they'll engage, comment, or share. The second half of the title, "Until One Man Stood Up," is where the redemption begins. It changes the tone from helplessness to hope. Nigerians are drawn to stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Whether it's in real life or in viral videos, there is a deep admiration for courage, especially when it comes from someone who had nothing to gain. Stood up is a simple term, but it carries weight. It implies bravery, action, and moral strength. It tells the viewer that someone didn't just watch injustice happen, they did something about it. This promise of redemption increases retention because viewers want to witness that moment of change, especially after the emotional buildup of the first part of the title. From an SEO standpoint, each phrase in the title includes keywords that people naturally search. Phrases like "old woman," "laughed at," "asking for food," and "stood up" are commonly searched terms because they reflect real-world experiences and widely shared social issues. In Nigeria, where people search for content that is emotional, motivational, or socially conscious, these keywords help videos appear in trending lists, related video sections, and even on the YouTube homepage. The combination of emotional storytelling and SEO-friendly language means the content is more likely to be recommended to others watching similar videos. Shareability is also rooted in language. Nigerians often share videos not just because of the visuals, but because of the message. A title that evokes emotion is more likely to be sent on WhatsApp, posted on Facebook, or discussed in group chats. Viewers think of their friends, family members, or religious groups when they see stories that touch on poverty, kindness, or injustice. The choice of simple, emotional, and morally charged words makes it easy for viewers to feel that the story is important enough to be passed along. That's how content spreads, not just through algorithmic suggestions, but through emotional relevance. Beyond the title, the same principle applies to descriptions, thumbnails, and captions. Using words like elderly, hungry, disrespected, humiliated, stranger helps, and kindness in the video description boosts visibility. These are not just words, they are connections to emotions that Nigerians, across age and region, can relate to. Even in a country with multiple languages and ethnic groups, themes like hunger, dignity, and justice transcend those divides. Whether the viewer is in Lagos, Kano, Port Harcourt, or a small village in Osun, the emotional reaction to such a story is largely the same. What also makes this type of language so effective is that it doesn't rely on clickbait. Instead, it's truthful. It reflects a real emotional journey, and that honesty builds trust with the audience. Nigerians are becoming more media-aware, and they can often spot fake or exaggerated content. But when they see titles that feel genuine and stories that reflect the struggles and triumphs around them, their reaction is sincere. This authenticity encourages comments, discussions, and sometimes even calls to action. Some might offer help, others might share personal stories, but the content becomes a catalyst for community conversation. Furthermore, this kind of language allows for versatility and format. The same SEO-rich and shareable title works for long-form storytelling, short video formats, reaction videos, and even documentary-style uploads. It can be translated into Pidgin or other local languages, and still maintain its emotional core. That flexibility is vital in a diverse media landscape like Nigeria's, where internet access, literacy levels, and language preferences vary widely. When creators understand the power of language, specifically how it influences both algorithms and human emotion, they create more than just videos. They create movement. And in a country where voices are rising and digital platforms are becoming a new stage for justice, education, and inspiration, using SEO-rich and shareable language is not just a technical skill, it's a tool for impact. It ensures that the right stories reach the right people and that important messages don't get buried under entertainment alone. This story reflects the deep impact of everyday compassion and the power of choosing dignity over judgment. In a world quick to mock and slow to act, one person's quiet courage reminds us that respect, especially for the vulnerable, is not optional, it's necessary. Where laughter once echoed at someone's pain, a single act of humanity changed the atmosphere, turning shame into hope and silence into reflection. It's not grand gestures that shift society, but moments like these, simple, honest, and unforgettable.